Hello! It's lovely to be here. I do want to say one thing really quickly before I get into the swing of things, is that I understand that when the name Tony Wright gets called onto stage, you do not expect to see any of this. That's completely understandable. I mean, the name doesn't really suit the face. And I kind of like that, because I really hope that somewhere in like South London, there's a really big, burly, white Cockney bloke called Taj Singh. Just walking about like fucking immigrants, coming over here stealing our names. I'd really enjoy that. But not everyone can accept the whole name thing. For instance, I was on a night out back home in Kent, and it was in this nightclub called The Royal, and I liked that name because everybody in there was the exact opposite of that description. I was approached by this man. I'm going to assume he was a drug dealer. That's awful. I know it's awful to assume, but his opening gambit was, "Oi, mate, do you want to buy any chumba?" Now, I didn't know what chumba was, so I Googled it. And Urban Dictionary told me chumba means either cocaine or anal sex. So I said yes. Hedged my bets, you know. Got cocaine, very disappointed. What can you do? So I went off to the toilet after that, sort my hair out, you know, freshen up, that sort of thing. And at that moment, the door flies open, and this lad walks in, looking like what I could only describe as an emoji with a short back and sides. And he said, "Lad, you're doing it all wrong, you're doing it all wrong." And he just walked over to me and started doing my hair. Really weird stuff. And after he'd finished that, he extended his hand and said, "I'm Jay, what's your name?" I said, "Tony, nice to meet you." I said, "Nice one, seriously, what is it?" "Not lying to you, mate, that is my name." I said, "Well, I don't believe you." I said, "Well, why don't you believe me?" So, "You don't look like a Tony." I said, "Well, what do I look like then?" He said, "I don't know, Rayhan." Wasn't happy about that, argued with him for a good few minutes, and at the end of the argument, he just went, "Well, Raj, or whatever your name is, see you later." There's two things that really confused me about the whole altercation. Two things that confused me about Emoji, as I like to call him. One is, how do you walk into a public toilet, approach a stranger, start molesting their scalp, and then be the one to say, "Nah, hang on, there's something not right about you"? And two, he didn't even have a piss. It's weird. Weird. But I'll talk to you about the whole race thing, because you'll be surprised. I'm actually half English and half Somali. A lot of people think I'm sort of on the Asian side of things, but no, half Somali. And with that information, I was also born and raised in a white working class family. White mum, white dad. And I suppose you're thinking, how on earth does this happen? Long story. Let's just say there was an unofficial third party. Someone's been lying. Yeah. It was my dad. He came home with a brown child. Like, "It's definitely yours, Carol." But of course, questions were asked quite often, mostly by me when I was growing up. I'm fine with the information now. It's all okay. But when I was younger, I found it quite difficult. And I'd always used to ask questions like, "Am I adopted?" To which my dad would say, "No, son. Not yet, we are trying." Oh, you might like this, you might like this. My nan, this is true. My nan's name is Eileen Wright. Get it? Eileen Wright. And I just find it so ironic because she recently suffered a stroke. Don't turn on me now. You'll be happy to know that Eileen is okay. That is a joke. But I do those sort of jokes about her because we have quite a fun relationship. She's quite a stern, angry woman, so I like to sort of like counterbalance that. To give you to give you some insight as to what type of woman she is. She's the type of person that when you can hear her coming a mile off. And do you know when they say, like, you can hear which family member is coming down the stairs just by the sound? Do you agree with that? You know which family member is coming down? I think that is true, because I know exactly when my brother is coming down the stairs because I hear a and then I hear his wheelchair. Right, okay, you're not getting on board with that. We'll go back to the nice stuff, shall we? Yeah, how's this going to go? Well, I've not got long left, so I'll tell you about a couple more things. Actually, I'll tell you about this journey I had a few days ago. So I've recently finished university for the year, and it came to, after one of our lessons, it came to going home, and I got the cab home. But it was quite unusual because my cab driver was a very strange man. So get in the cab and off we go. Seems fine. And then he looks in his little mirror and goes, "So, bet you're sick of seeing all these foreign cab drivers about, huh?" I said, "No, of course not. I don't have a problem with people earning a living. Why would I have a problem with that? Besides, I'm mixed race myself. We've got to stick together, you know." I said, "Good point. You know who would agree with you? My husband. I'm not judging, mate. I'm happy for you. I think the steps we're making towards real equality is fantastic. But it angers me that it's taken so long to get to where we are. We've still got so far to go." He goes, "You know, I want to tell you something. I tell you these personal things because you never know who's going to get in the back of your car, and I want to see if these people are good people. And I can honestly say that you're one of the most respecting, acceptful people that I've ever come across. Most people turn their noses up straight away, but not you. You know, I didn't even have to tell you that I'm vegan." I said, "Vegan? You can fuck right off, mate." But I've been living in Manchester for about a year and a half now, and it was my dad who helped me move there. And he wanted to make the moment special before we parted ways. And he says, look, Tony, I know you're doing this comedy thing, but you must know it's not easy. I mean, for one, people might say you're not funny. People might say you're shit. Right, see you at Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been fantastic. I've been Tony Wright. Thank you very much.